So I've clearly talked a lot more than I thought I would, and as you might be able to tell from the video title, I thought I'd better split this video into two. So if you are interested in how it all goes and what I did and the story, come watch part 2. I'm never quite sure how interesting these sort of videos are to people, but right now I'm on my second ride, because yesterday, with the sort of puncture issues that I had and battery issues, I didn't realise I was going to do what I did with the GoPro. The last 10 miles were just, almost hammer down, get back to the car. It was another puncture. So I took the wheel like to pieces, so to speak, as in took the tyre itself off, turned it inside out, got the tube out obviously, pumped that up, and found there was another small hole. So I don't get it. I've done 200 or 300 miles with nothing, and then did 170, if not more than that, and then a 70-mile ride with 3 punctures. I almost swapped the tyres out and put the hard ones back on, my winter ones. But I thought, well, maybe I just rode through one bit of really bad crap on the road. I suffered from all of those. Hey, you going to work? Oh no, turn around. Hey!
How are you?
Not too bad, you? So that's quite funny. That's my boss, or I suppose ex-boss now, that I often go cycling with. I'm very good friends with. He's on his way into work. What are the chances? This is not a time I would normally ride at either, so normally I'll go out about 8 AM on a Sunday. Right now it's 9:15. But after yesterday's ride I just felt so tired when I woke up. And I woke up at 5:30. So I watched the Formula 1, because it was Australian Grand Prix started at 6, so I watched that and I set off out at, I don't know, 10 to 9 or something. It's just such a nice day. And while the temperature is like, I don't know, 3, 4 or 5, it doesn't feel that cold, especially when you're in the sun. Right, I have no idea what I was talking about when my friend rode by. I think it might have been about the puncture. I'm also not entirely sure what I covered yesterday and where I need to pick up from, to be honest. So I'm fairly sure I'd started telling you how I was kind of shadowing somebody in the role. But what I did think maybe I hadn't said was about how I kind of prepared myself for, what's the word, countering the fact that I don't have experience in Scrum and IT management. So I figured Scrum is the thing. So I'm looking, okay, are there any kind of certificates? And I guess this is probably top tip number 1, maybe. I don't know if I've given any top tips yet. But just look at job adverts. What are they asking for? Obviously experience, can't help with that. But quite often they'll list some qualifications that, if not sort of compulsory, that are just desired. And I think I noticed PSM 1, Professional Scrum Master 1, was one thing. There are a few others I noticed, like Prince 2, I think it's quite a well-known sort of project management type thing. I also noticed ITIL 4, not very often. I even asked a few recruiters, not recruiters, but people that are doing recruiting though, And they said, yeah, about 0 to 4. So yeah, clearly it was the PSM one that I wanted. So again, off back to Udemy. I think I just got the one course actually. It was only about 4 hours, I think, or well, between 4 and 6, wasn't huge. Then did some, so the exam is like a, I forget now, 60 minute, 90 minute, 60 minute, 90 questions, 60 questions, 80 questions. It's like a multiple choice exam. So, you know, multiple choice is good. So I did this course. I think I did like a mock version of the exam and did okay. So I thought, okay, let's go for it then. And did the exam and passed. So that was good. It wasn't, you know, that took me like a week to kind of train and learn and get the certificate. So I just figured I can't do anything about not having the experience, but if I can show I've got some certificates, show that I'm kind of keen to learn, then that would kind of help replace that lack of experience perhaps. So then coming back to this me sort of shadowing, I did at least sort of understand how the ceremonies and events, you know, what they were for, when they happen, how long they're supposed to be. So I think there's about 4 weeks in, I kind of took over on the team. Well, my mentor has 2 teams, so I took over one of them. I just started running all the events. In fact, I remember quite even earlier than that, when my mentor couldn't make one of the meetings, and I kind of took it. Well, no, she couldn't make the first half, and when she went, I just kind of took over. And I could see quite early. So this whole question of do you need the technical knowledge? A lot of the time, no, not to do this Scrum Master type role, because it was just more about facilitating the meeting. It was like, I think it was a retrospective, so it's one where you're sort of analysing how the sprint's gone, what can be done differently, what can be done better, and it is about just facilitating and getting, because especially with devs, they're not always that open, they're not always that, you know, they're quite introverted, so they perhaps need a bit of prodding and probing, and some of them, not that's maybe it's a big generalisation, but so that's all I did, and I came out of that meeting feeling really good actually. And then you go into another meeting where they start talking about AWS services and interdependencies and all of this. And I come out of those meetings thinking, oh my God, what am I doing? And I'm saying this to I think it was the product manager. And he said, yeah, don't worry. It can take 5 or 6 months for everything to kind of fit into place really and make sense. I said, okay, well that's fine, that's good to know, that comforts me. I've only got 3 months and then I'm out of a job. So a little bit of a worry at the same time. So I'm just cycling up to Letty Green Colgate. I love this area, I love this route. I can't think how many times I must have cycled it to Spokes. Probably 50 or so, I would guess, if not a little more. But they're such nice roads. Especially when the sun's out and there's blue sky. So the other thing, before kind of taking over running the ceremonies and taking over the team generally, top tip number 2 would be ask for help. You know, it's not showing weakness, it's not showing inability, or to me it's showing the right attitude, as well as hopefully gathering that knowledge. You know, again, I'm in a position I don't know, I've never done before, so I must have met up with 6 or 7 delivery leads, asked them what their biggest challenges were, asked them what they thought I should be learning about. You know, again, just show you're keen to keep learning. I had some people and I got hold of a Pluralsight license, which is like Udemy but free. And yeah, I'd say the course is a bit more structured maybe, but I spent, I don't know, 20 hours or so watching different training videos. I learned about AWS and the services mainly. I got myself to the point that I think I could pass the AWS Cloud Practitioner exam, which is the first of their certificates. It's not super detailed. It really just means you know what the different services are and a bit of how sort of AWS billing works, and all that kind of thing. It was really interesting. It did help because I do hear some of the things they talk about, and at least I know what they are now, what they do, and why they talk about them. But yeah, so ask for help, stay keen, stay eager. Feedback is crucial as well. Okay, so then we're moving into sort of the second month of the 3. And I think it's time for top tip number 3, which is about raise your profile. So when I've sort of helped develop kind of like team leaders, third hands, whatever you want to call them, in shops, so they're like kind of the young aspiring, a lot of them can be kids but not necessarily, I talk to them about raising their profile. It's one thing if you're out there doing everything, doing amazing stuff. If people don't notice that and they don't know about it, you don't get the credit you should. So, you know, I tell you, you've got to play the game. And the game is get yourself noticed, which some people really struggle with. They don't like saying, well, I did this and I did that. And it's about how you do it, I suppose. You know, in fact, if you're in charge of X, send a weekly email just letting everyone know what the latest is with X. You know, if it's in a shop, it might be wastage or something like that, so send out a wastage update. Maybe even feel particularly bold, then like hold weekly meetings. I remember a guy that used to do that. Well, yeah, so I told him to, but yeah, I gave him all these sort of tips as well. And he would hold weekly wastage meetings and hold managers to account. This is just like a regular bod from the shop floor sort of thing. So making it relevant to me, I did a variety of just meet and greets, which partly was that whole sort of asking deliveries about what they do, and some of it was just getting to know some people. I got put in this Slack channel about, I think it was just like Digital Coffee Club or something, and some mornings at 9 o'clock someone says, who fancies a coffee? And you just jump in a Google Meet with your coffee and just chat, not work stuff. They're very, you know, we don't know about work stuff. Let's talk about whatever's going on in our lives almost. So I tried to join as many of those as I could, just to get to know people and have them get to know me. I mean, that might not work if you're a dick, because you don't want them to know you're a dick. But you know, in seriousness though, you raise your profile, let people know what you're doing. I delved into metrics, and I found a couple of things that I thought could really help some teams, so I started posting them in Slack, and a few people, you know, thanked me, and it did help them. So that just gets you seen, gets you noticed. I think it's really important. So I think we're then moving on to kind of interview prep. There's a big recruitment drive going on in the area I was working in. They were after a whole bunch of these delivery leads, so sounded promising. So then for me, I was still a bit of an idiot. Vlogging, oh, you believe that? Vlogging when other cyclists come the other way, thinking, what is this guy doing? Not bad. A few potholes to make sure I don't hit as well. So, what was I saying? Interview prep. So again, then I'm looking for sort of videos on Pluralsight and YouTube for kind of interview prep and taking interviews. I start talking to people that have recently been recruited. Unfortunately, the last one that went through the full process was from November, so it was like 3 or 4 months previous. She couldn't really remember much about it, which, you know, fair play. She told me a few bits and showed me a few bits that quite comforting, because I looked and thought, yeah, I think that's the kind of content I could put out, not a problem. And then I started thinking about gathering evidence. So it's quite interesting doing an interview from home, you know, virtually, actually I think makes it a bit easier. If you're going into somewhere, any interview I've been to, I've never really taken notes with me, and actually, as I sort of think about it now, I don't see why you shouldn't be able to. You know, you're being prepared. Anyway, so, but I thought, well, I can have a document on the screen. You know, I've got 2 screens. One of them will have the interview video call, and one would have my document with all my evidence in. So I set up a Google document. Learned about bookmarks. They're quite handy, so you can kind of base your sort of links. What's that? I hate when I film my rear wheel, feels like it's bouncy. No, we're okay. Thought I had another puncture then for a minute. Yeah, so you can set up like links within a document, so okay, that could come in really handy. So then it's just like kind of initially brainstorming kind of, okay, what have I done? What achievements? What evidence, you know? So yeah, actually thinking about what questions you're going to get was one of the key things, I think. So once it's done a top tip, you might want to grab a pen and paper or whatever. You know, I've interviewed several, if not more than 10. Yeah, it must be way more actually, thinking about it. Sort of management interviews for management positions. So that helped me knowing what kind of questions will be coming my way, perhaps. And I think they're fairly standard. Got a car waiting behind me now. So it's things like, and this could apply to you as an individual or you leading a team of others. So it'll be tell me about a time you've worked under considerable pressure. Tell me about a time where you've had to cope with change, or where you've implemented change because you could see the benefit to it. Tell me about a time when you've helped or developed someone else. I don't know, I might have to check. I had loads of them. I might have to get them out of my document. And to be honest, you could just Google for them. I'm sure you get loads of sort of core standard questions you're going to get. I don't know whether to risk this. Oh, yeah, maybe not, maybe not. That's the thing, as a cyclist, road closed signs, they don't always mean the road's closed. It just means cars can't go down them. So you always have to, and it's always downhill. So this is going down, it always is downhill. When you see the road closed, you think, oh, that's just hope. And then you start going down, you think, if it is actually closed, I've got to cycle back up this hill. Okay, well, I mean, I know a different way, so I'll just head around. Mind you, I say I know a different way, I'm not entirely sure that I am where I thought I was. Let's have a look. And the Wahoo has rerouting, but I think actually the better way is going back. Oh yeah, it is better, yeah. Okay, turn the wrong way. Another puncture, this time the front. Here's a top tip. Wear a glove when you do that, looks frozen up. There's worse places to be fixing a puncture, to be fair. Quite a pretty area. The sun's out, it's warming up, and I think we're ready to go again. Let's get packed away. So I mean, punctures are just part of cycling, unfortunately. Especially when you're a bigger guy, I think. I get so many punctures. Maybe I should just switch back to my hard winter tyres. They're a bit slower, but I'm in no hurry. And that's kind of the thing, when you've got a puncture, I'm in no hurry. Weather's nice, views are great. I'm on my way to Spoke, so I can probably replace the inner tube there. Yeah, whatever. So back to the interview and things. So once you've gathered all of these are the questions I might get asked. The other thing to think about is, obviously there's going to be a introduction type thing. Tell me a little bit about yourself. So I prepared kind of me personally, as in hobbies and what I do in my spare time. I'm cycling, vlogging. I don't think I'll tell them that. Think about your work history. And then think a bit about what's your biggest work achievement. So then you're ready for all, you know, if they said to me, tell us a little about yourself, I would have asked, well, what sort of things do you want to know? And I'm kind of ready for any response. But then, Nature Valley Bar, if you see that on the road there. So it's about gathering the evidence. And the questions might help with that. You know, yeah, when did I take a team through a pressure situation, or oh actually yeah, that's quite a lot of pressure. And as you think of a scenario, the advice I had was use the STAR technique. So explain the situation. So we have health and safety audits. T is task. What is your task? So I need to lead the person through the health and safety audit around the branch and try and achieve the best score possible. A is for actions. So there's this particular time they came in and they really happened. And R is for result. And it sounds silly, but that bit's key. I mean, in one of my responses in the interview, the guy did say, and so what was the result? And I was a little annoyed because I had given it, but I mean, I guess I mustn't have been clear enough. So often people explain all these things but don't actually say what the result was. If you've got any numbers to back it up, so you know, if I'm talking about pay control, yeah, we hit our pay target, we were actually £3 grand underspent or something. That is a good result to give as we head over whatever busy road. I'm not actually sure what road that is. So yeah, just a kind of a brainstorming then. Well, it's not even just that, so you do that, but I also, again, going back to whatever top tip it was, ask for help. So I arranged for a virtual meeting with my boss that I passed the other way earlier. I just asked him a little bit about, you know, what do you think my strengths are, what do you think my best achievements were, and that kind of just sparks off some other things. And then this document, I mean, I started it up way in advance so I could just keep adding to it as I remember things, because I've got a terrible memory. So then I'd also look back through my own objectives over the years, trying to get inspiration. I think at one point I was even delving back through emails. I was going to sort of like reviews with other people, and I did that with that person. Yeah, that was quite a good deal. I could do a little story about that. I could star about that. And in the end, I had 21 different bits of evidence. Morning. Some horses. Yeah, and each of those bits of evidence, so then I go back to the bit about the questions I might get, and I link through to the best bits of evidence for that type of question. You know, tell me about time you've worked under pressure. Oh, well, as it goes, this time we have to deal with, or I have to deal with, health and safety audits in a branch. Click, and it zooms straight to that bit of evidence. Broken down, bullet pointed, I must say. Well, not necessarily, but I initially typed it out as a story, literally, like in paragraphs almost. And then I thought, what I don't want in the interview, because I've seen it, I've experienced it, I don't want to be reading off a script to them. It comes across terribly. Because I had a guy do that, you know, I was interviewing him for a management role, and he had some great answers, but his delivery was, you know, robotic, and it was scripted, simple as that. It did not sound good. It put me in quite an awkward position because his answers ticked a lot of the boxes, but I mean, I don't think I marked him down. He didn't get a job, to be fair, but he just wasn't the best person for it. But I'm not sure. It's not a good impression that you want. It gives an impression of being organised, but yeah, it would worry me a little bit. Like, anyone could have written that almost. Is that really his evidence, or is it somebody else's? Yeah, so I switched to bullet points, and I practiced them. I read through them quite a few times. You know, I sometimes find that making videos go over what I'm going to say, because actually the second time it flows more naturally. So yeah, that might be top tip number 3 or 4, whatever we're at. 3, 4. Morning. What top tip? I don't even know what I'm at. 3, 4, 3, whatever. Top tip: practice your answers. Just I mean, literally, I just sat there reading it out. Well, not reading it out, even using the bullet points and talking to myself, because it almost gets better each time you do it, and it helps you kind of memorize it, so you don't need the bullet points as much. Nearly at Spokes now, literally about a mile away. Whoa. Not watching where I'm going. Yeah, just about a mile away. Time for a coffee and a lovely brownie. I can't wait, honestly. Morning. I'm expecting with the sun out like this, it's going to be busy. I would expect. Mind, it's 11:15, that's quite late. I don't normally get here this late. Late start and late and a puncture.